Here we go. So, this is our meeting today. We're going to try to finish up at 1:30, and it's all about the roadmap grants that we were giving for up to $1,000. And we'll give you more information on the background and how this program came about and where we are with it now. So today we'll just start. I've done the introductions and we're going to get more updates about the Indiana Language Roadmap program. And then we're going to have presentations from awardees from different years all together here today. And we'll have some closing remarks. All right, so here we go. I'll let Eli Conwest, who's the director at the Center for the Study of Global Change, take it over now and share more about the Roadmap project.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Delighted that you could spend some time in this busy time of year learning more about the Indiana Language Roadmap and particularly celebrating the accomplishments of our wonderful grantees from the past few years of the Indiana Language Roadmap Community Grant Project. So the Indiana Language Roadmap Project originally started in 2017, sponsored by the Department of Defense to map the priorities of language learning and global learning across the state of Indiana. And it was a multi-sector, multi-regional approach where folks went physically across the state to gather data and input from people to garner what are the priorities of Indiana in world language learning and et cetera. And we'll hear a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. And since then, we've been supporting those priorities through Community Grant Project. Through that project since 2020, we've been able to assist people's efforts from across Indiana in the specific goals, working with those specific contexts, with specific populations to expand world language learning and global learning across the state. And that has taken place in school settings, in healthcare settings, in nonprofits and corporations. So really a wide variety of people have taken this charge and run with it and done really some spectacular things supporting folks across the state with those goals. We've done language learning for specific populations, been able to support the purchase of materials for events and long-term opportunities, career and leadership developments, and community events that brought schools, students, community members, and folks together. So really fantastic that we are able to bring everyone here today. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. The community grants were up to $1,000. We've awarded 33 grants total since 2020. And so we are going to hear from a sampling of those today. If you would like to learn about some of the earlier years grantees from 2020 and 2021, you can go to the Center for the Study of Global Change at IU's YouTube page. We'll share some links with you later on, and you can watch the showcases from those years to learn about those excellent grant recipients as well. And one more. Thank you. And an update of the roadmap. A lot of what we've been turning our attention right now is updating the information found in the roadmap, because the roadmap was originally written in 2019, and you can find that and download that whole document on our website as well. We worked with a team of students here at Indiana University this past year to help us revise some of that data points. And what we found through that data collection activity was that Indiana is even more global than what we were writing about in 2019. And so more folks speaking more languages are in our state. The economic ties across the world are greater than they were in 2019. And it's just really grown our global connections, both linguistically, economically, culturally, et cetera. Our global connections here in Indiana. Indiana is a global place. We remain a global place. We're growing as a global place. And so some of that new data, revised data about migration to rural Indiana, the economic impact and ties, and the enormity of languages that we have can be found in the new data on our website as well. So we'll share those links out with you here in the chat as well for your easy access. And coming in 2026, we will be working with a new group of students here to collect more data on questions we have about employers and their wants and needs for global languages and ties. And we're excited to expand our global employability programming in the coming year. And that's working with educators at the high school, community college, and collegiate university level to work to talk about global learning in their classrooms and how we can support people across the education pipeline in those global learning needs. So excited about that in the coming year. So some good stuff coming up. I'm going to turn this back over to Selena and thank you and welcome once again to everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Eli. We're so glad to have everyone gathered and share about this amazing project. So now we have our wonderful moderator, Dr. Martha Martin, who's going to help us move through all of the presentations. So I want to share a little bit about Dr. Martha Martin. She's an international educator and global leadership expert with a PhD from Indiana Tech. With years of experience directing J1 teacher exchange programs and working cross-culturally in the US and Japan, she currently serves as an ARO for Benteo's International Teacher Exchange Services, or ITES, and teaches in Purdue at Global University's Ed program. She's an entrepreneur and trainer in emotional intelligence and leadership. Dr. Martin lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and enjoys music, global engagement, and supporting communities through education. So I'm going to let Dr. Martin take it away and help us move through these wonderful presentations today.
Hi, thanks so much for the introduction. Thank you for joining us today. And really thank you to all of the presenters for joining us and sharing about your great projects. As you can see on the screen, the language roadmap had 4 priorities. We worked hard to get these, all these ideas gelled down to these 4 priorities. One, strengthening the educational pipeline and incentivizing teaching, finding world language teachers. Priority 2, growing our global connections and economic and workforce development. Priority 3, coordinating and collaborating and connecting, just developing networks and making sure everyone knows what's happening across the state. It is a large state, so making sure everyone's connected. And then raising awareness, promoting a global identity for priority 4, educating our citizens about our global connections were our 4 priorities. And this is just, to have purpose, a more purposeful educational pipeline, a more purposeful understanding of our global connections. So thank you so much for joining us, presenters. And I believe we're ready to start. We'll have the first 4 from 2024 to 2025. And I think we're ready to launch with Irene Paxia. And she will be presenting from Fort Wayne about the Language Access Lab, which really aligns with priority 2 and all of the priorities. I want to say that all of the projects really covered a lot of the different aspects, but training service providers is really central to priority 2, and also just some great work in Fort Wayne. So thanks, Irene, for joining us.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's exciting to be here, see some familiar faces and some new faces. As Martha said, I'm Irene Paxia. I am originally from Italy, and I'm the executive director of the Language Access Lab, which is a new organization based in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we can go to the next slide. We were very excited to be supported by Indiana Language Roadmap grants this year. With the help of Indiana Language Roadmap, we were able to hold an interpreter training called the Community Interpreter. The Community Interpreter is a nationally accredited program that we brought to Fort Wayne under many different umbrellas over the years, but it's now under the umbrella of the Language Access Lab. The mission of our organization, Language Access Lab, is to build capacity for language access through advocacy, awareness, and interpreter training. We develop and provide tools for language interpreters and translators, as well as organizations who want to learn about language access planning, and then communities through interpreter rosters and events. The Community Interpreter Training is a program that professionally trains bilingual individuals. So as part of our program, we had individuals who worked in dual roles with their language skills in different corporations, as well as professional interpreters. The program is 40 hours long and pretty hands-on. We had two lead trainers and two bilingual language coaches for Burmese and Spanish. And the outcome has been really to support the professionalization of the field and then strengthen the preparedness of our entire region by supporting ongoing training and skill set. So we can go to the next slide. We have, like I said, we provided this training in 2025. It was all over a period of 1 month, so in May of 2025. And the training is meant to serve interpreters and bilingual individuals who work in multiple sectors from healthcare to schools and nonprofits and government entities. So that's the uniqueness about this program, and that's why I like it so much because it's not just a medical program, but it really does serve multiple sectors. And as you can see from this slide, it's a pretty intense program. So we were happy to get to it, and then we were really happy when we completed the program, quite frankly, because it was a lot of work. It helps. It's not a language teaching program. We do language proficiency testing for anybody to be able to take it. But then we teach protocols on how to be an interpreter. Anything from the ethics and standards to where to position yourself, modes of interpreting, and just the professional aspects of interpretation. And one of my favorite is how to interrupt a session when you're interpreting and you either need some clarification or there is maybe a cultural misunderstanding to be addressed. So that is in a nutshell our program, and we can go to the next slide. We have surveyed multiple times our students, and so we were able to learn a few things, and I just want to share three primary things. We do know that the course is effective. We have multiple before and after results to account for that. And we also saw a pretty high satisfaction rate for generally the program and then individual modules themselves. Also wasn't a surprise to us that the students were very diverse. They represented multiple languages. Let's see, Spanish, Burmese, Portuguese, Russian, French, Japanese, and Farsi. And they came from multiple sectors, as we hoped. So definitely healthcare, less than a third. But also individuals came from just general corporations like shipping employees, and then there were interpreters that worked in multiple sectors as professional interpreters. We also have learned that they were very interested in remaining engaged with us. So the graduates, we look forward to continuing our relationship with them. They look for social networking opportunities and other professional opportunities. So we're going to be working on special events for them this year and in the coming years, as well as we're going to provide an interpreter roster for them to engage directly with employers. And we can go to the next slide. I think that might be it. So big thank you to Indiana Language Roadmap for your encouragement and all of your team for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Irene. And if you have questions for her, you can put them in the chat, and we'll then move on to our second one. But thank you, Irene, because the work that you did on, really focuses on priority two. Service providers having, properly skilled interpreters is so important for the community, and just a fantastic work. So thank you. And so then Ana Maria Ferreira is in Indianapolis and will present about the Department of Global Languages and their projects there.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna share my screen, or yeah, right? I'm sharing, yes. So, thank you for the introductions. Thank you for inviting me. And So my name again is Ana Maria Ferreira. I am originally from Colombia, and I am the chair of the Global Languages Department and Cross-Cultural Studies at the University of Indianapolis. What we do, of course, we teach languages, we serve the community. We are also the hub in our university for many international students, especially the Latino students. We have a little organization called SOL, Student Organization of Latinos. We also have a global organization of students, like all international students. So we have created a space at the university with everybody who speaks other languages or is interested in other languages, even if they are not our students, can find a home. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the what we did with the grant money. We had like a two-phase or two steps events that we hold at the end of the school year in May. So we had the idea of hosting a talent show, and then at the same time, so the talent show was on Thursday, and then during the entire week, we invite our students and the community and people in the neighborhood and family and friends of the department to come and help us create a mural for our department. So during the entire week, the department was open, and students and faculty and members of the community came and go and spent a little time helping us create this mural, who was designed by the students. And it has several sentences in different languages, especially French, German, and Spanish, but there was also other languages, and people from very different backgrounds and languages and cultures came and helped us create the mural. It was like a really good experience. And then the main goal of the mural was having the community coming together to create this message of community, of we all belong, about diversity, about how diversity enrich us all, and really create something for the department, for our space that was created, and everybody was included in every stage of the process. I put here also a picture of, so we did this project in May, but I took the picture on the right on just a couple of weeks ago, and students were having just a conversation in our department, and how the mural is today on our space, that like it completely changed the students will say the vibe of the space. So we are very happy with the product. And while that was the big project that we had during the entire week, and we end up finishing the mural during the summer, at the end of the semester as well, and while this was happening in the department, we also have a talent showcase when we invited everybody who wanted to participate and share with us any talent. The only requirement to participate was it has to be related to a language or a culture, and so in that sense we were part of the priority one, but also I think 3 and 4 were also part of our goals with this. We have students dancing, singing, making presentations, poems, reading in different language. It was a truly great experience. It was and it was very impactful, as well as we weren't expecting so many people to show up, but there were so many people, and people are already asking if we're gonna do it again next year. Just to shout out to Svitlana, because the presentation I did for the talent showcase was a series of photography from Ukraine. So you were also part, even you were not there, you were also part of our day, and that was mostly the way we use the grant, and we are very, very grateful for the opportunity and to be here and hearing and sharing with all of you guys.
Thank you so much, Anna Maria. And if you have any questions for Anna Maria, you can put those in the chat. And thank you. I do see how, especially 3 with connections and helping the students, the international students develop connections and the community develop connections and also just the strengthening the educational pipeline. So thank you so much. And now we're going to get ready to hear from Rigi in Fort Wayne at Amani Family Services and their work there.
Absolutely. My name is Ree, and I serve as the Welcoming Initiative Coordinator for Amani Family Services. Could we go to the next slide? So Amani has been in Allen County in Fort Wayne for almost 20 years now. Next year is actually our 20th year anniversary. And we are a private nonprofit organization serving more than 2,000 families and individuals from around the world. We started off providing victim care advocacy services in 2006, and over time we've broadened our reach to include a variety of clinical and mental health services, including counseling, substance use support, family case management support. We've also added a legal clinic in February, and we're the home to the Welcoming Fort Wayne Allen County initiative, which helped Allen County become the first certified welcoming county in the state of Indiana this year. So could we go to the next slide? A big part of my role at Amani is our relationship building and community awareness and outreach. So what we were able to use the grant from the Indiana Language Roadmap for was to bolster our supplies for our community outreach efforts. We were able to resupply our branded pens as well as our multilingual brochures, which we have in English, Spanish, French, and Burmese, some of the most common languages that we see here in Allen County. These photos are from one of our community events over the summer. We attended several of the Tin Caps, which is our local baseball team, their Manzanas Luchadoras nights, which are for Hispanic Heritage Month. We had events throughout July and August that we were able to use these supplies for. Here is our NALA team, our Naturalization and Legal Assistance team, sharing about our legal resources at one of our back to school events that we attended. There were several, including this one hosted by Super Shots. They had interpreters providing guidance to folks who, sorry, could we go back one more slide? Not quite. Could we go back? Sorry. Yeah. So like I said, we have our NALA team here. They are our newest addition to Amani, and they were sharing about our legal resources here at the Super Shots Back to School event. We had, I believe it was 300 people just at this event alone getting up-to-date shots for the school year. There were Spanish and Burmese speakers as well as other languages represented, and Amani was able to share with them with some of those multilingual brochures that we received. Go ahead, next slide. We also attended other community events like the Pontiac Street Market Back to School Fair. At the end of those 2 months, July and August, we attended 9 community outreach events, which we were able to use these supplies at. And then last slide. So overall, even though it's not the most exciting thing to be, buying more outreach supplies, this has been a really great support for our outreach efforts. We're able to increase our visibility and accessibility, providing information to folks who may not know about what we have to offer at Amani and what they have access to. We share those vital resources with community members from all over the county. We built connections across language, and we were able to reach 11,800 community members in those 2 months with those community resources. So we're really grateful for Indiana Language Roadmap for supporting us in that effort, and excited to see what comes next in 2026 with your programming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ree. It's so clear how your work at Amani addresses, priority 3 and 4, building the connections and promoting a global identity. So thank you so much for that work. And it's hard to count those numbers, how many people you really did impact when you have big groups of people coming through at festivals and things. But thank you again for your work and for sharing about your project. Next up, we have Hui-Shi Chu in Muncie at the Indiana Academy, which is a fantastic school. She's going to talk about the Global Scholars Program.
Hi, I'm Hui-Shi. I'm from Indiana Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Humanities. I'm the International Program Director at the Indiana Academy. And I'm not sure all of you know a bit about Indiana Academy. We are a residential public high school that offers grades from 10 to 12. We are located in Muncie, and my work at the academy involves supporting international students, a small cohort of them, and managing this Global Scholar Certificate Program. And the grant that we received this year from Indiana Language Roadmap is to support this Global Scholar Certificate Program. Next slide, please. So, as you can see, we are using how we use the money, okay? How we use the money, basically, is we actually use it in 2 portions. The first portion is we actually hosted the International Fest. Next slide, please. And as you can see from the slide, it's basically an event to celebrate global cultures at the Academy. What I did was, next slide, I paired up our international students with our global scholars. All right. So maybe to have to back up a little bit is our global scholars are students who opt in for this program, students who want to be recognized for their effort in engaging in global efforts, global thinking, things that are beyond the classroom. All these are opted in, and they are very much self-initiated. So at the end of the program, at the Global Scholar Program, they will get a special card during their graduation. So they are really recognized at the Academy. So I paired this group of global scholars with our international students, and they come together to do this project, which is presenting the country and culture of our international students. Next. That is the first portion of the money. The second portion is we use the money to create our first globally themed t-shirt at the Academy. Next, please. Next slide, please. As you can see, with the t-shirt, we have made the event more visible. We have made our program more visible. And especially during international education, we were able to celebrate this across social media, and we are able to strengthen our programs, our presence at the Academy itself. I actually received 2 new students throughout that week because of what we have done during this week, because we actually made a stamp at the Academy through this effort. Next. So how did that impact us? Other than creating the excitement and visibility, the money that we used really improved the quality of the table presentations. Next. Next slide, please. As you can see, if you guys can see the vibe that's going on, the students bought, the purchase traditional games, they're actually playing a traditional Korean game there. And then they purchase some stickers, some flags, you can see all that. My personal favorite, which is, as you can see, it is that Maori tattoo from New Zealand, So they were able to, so the whole event became a very, very fun event for us because of the money from the grant that the students could now purchase and to showcase their country a bit more effectively. All right, next slide, please. So other than improving the quality and creating more excitement, we have actually increased the number of countries represented at the International Fest. Because when we advertise this opportunity to the student community, so they were more attracted and more willing to participate because they say, oh, now we can use some money to do this project. So that actually increased our participation. And which I can show you in the next slide, the countries that are represented in our International Fest this year, there were 9, which is quite amazing for us. We are actually a very small, we have a very small cohort of international students, but we could have all this represented in a high school of our size. So we just truly want to thank you, thank Indiana Language Roadmap for the grant. And because of that, we had so much more fun, and it was so much more interesting for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rishi. What a great work. Definitely working on the priorities of one for the education and, coordinating and connecting students and then raising awareness, this global awareness in priority 4. So thank you so much for sharing that. So that concludes all of the 24-25 grants. And then we're going to go a little bit more back in time. And thank you to all of these presenters who are coming after a couple of years to share with what they have been working on. And we're going to start first in Bloomington. And this is Chaojing Ko, and she will be presenting on the IU World Language Festival. Thank you.
Can I share my slides? Can you hear me? Can I share my slide?
All right, that should be working for you now.
Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. I'm Xiaojing Ko from IU Center for Language Technology. The logo above is IU's World Language Festival, and the picture below is when the project team presented about our project in 2023 in Indiana Foreign Language Teacher Association annual conference. And the project we worked on is to make use of existing resources of IU's World Language Festival Virtual Academy and invite and support secondary school educators to get inspired by these lessons and create their own teaching materials with the mindset of globalizing their curriculum. This project benefits 3 parties. First, on the IU end, this is an effective way of doing outreach, showcasing excellent language instruction at IU. Second, for the secondary school teachers involved in the project, this is a great way of doing professional development. They learned about new resources and they created and updated their own teaching materials as a result of the PD with support from the language education expert from IU. Third, the general body of secondary school teachers can make use of the teaching resources created by the cohort teachers since they make their lesson plans as open education resources. The World Language Festival, before I introduce the project, I want to tell you a little more about the World Language Festival, which is the most important context. It was a biannual in-person event on the Bloomington campus. Its target audience was high school students, but welcomes everyone. In 2021, we turned it into an online courses consisted of self-paced lessons available through IU Expand, and it's free. So currently, we have the Virtual Academy offer 28 lessons in 13 languages. And as of today, we also give out digital badges for each lesson completed. And as of today, we have 410 active enrollments. This is the list of some of the selected lessons from Virtual Academy. These lessons are created by IU language instructors from different departments. The ones with asterisks are some of the most popular lessons, like, for example, the greetings from peers in Yoruba in African studies, introduction to the Tibetan language through song, by Central Eurasian studies, and East Asian languages and culture. They have breakfast culture in China and Hangul. And the two lessons that are highlighted are actually the two lessons that inspired our cohort teachers who created their own lessons. Now about the project. So in November, in 2022, and then we formed a cohort. So here is our team. The teacher cohort was a Spanish high school teacher and a Chinese high school teachers, and organizers are me and another staff. And we also recruited Dr. Martha Nikos, who is a professor in the School of Education, Language Education at University. She worked closely with the two cohort teachers when they developed their own lesson plans. So this is a timeline of the development. Basically, the two teachers, they have to go through the lessons in the Virtual Academy as students, completed the lessons, and then got inspired by those lessons. Then they create their lessons. As you see, there are 4 cohort meetings when they discussed their lesson plan with each other and with the mentor. And in the fall of 2023, not 2025, they implemented lesson. So this is the picture of the Spanish teacher implement her lesson on Hispanics and Latins around the world. And this is the pictures from the Chinese teacher implementing her lesson on measure words in Chinese breakfast and food. So here are some feedback on favorite aspects of participation by the teachers. Having the opportunity to work with professors in the Department of World Languages at IU and network with the university academic community has helped me provide future direction for high school students. All the lessons and languages they could explore and finding that they are free resources. On our end, we also created the roadmap project page on our original IU World Language Festival website, which includes the lesson plans that the teacher cohort created as the result of their PD, which they share as OER. And if you go to the website, this is the roadmap project we created on the website, and you can find their project. So for example, this is the lesson created by his Spanish teacher, and she recorded a short video about the lesson to other instructors who want to use her lesson. And here is the lesson plan and other resource materials. And that's all of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Shajing. So, fantastic, because the impact on priority 1, right? So incentivizing teachers, training teachers also had more impact because you shared at the Indiana Foreign Language Teachers Association meeting and was able to spread. And also just all of us who are attending now who may not know about the Virtual Academy, now we know about all of those lessons there. So thank you so much for sharing that. And we're going to move on then to Diego Iredeji in Muncie. Oh, no, in Indy, I'm sorry, in Indianapolis. And she'll be talking about this language support group for Japanese Hoosiers. So thank you so much, Diego.
Thank you very much for introduction. Good morning, and my name is Reiko Habuto Iredeji. I'm an assistant professor of Japanese and world language education at Ball State University, and I am today speaking on behalf of the Japanese Language Learning Support Group, and it's powered by the Japan America Society of Indiana. And our group is a group of parents whose children are speaking Japanese at home and varying from all the time to once in a while when their extended family gather together. So some children go to Japanese language school on the weekends and study Japanese with the Japanese government curriculum, and some students have no formal instruction beside the talking to their family members. And 3 years ago, we were fortunate to receive an Indiana language roadmap grant to launch a bold vision. Our vision was to support Japanese-speaking families in Indiana by developing a comprehensive Japanese language art and a social study curriculum for heritage language learners. And today, I am thrilled to share here with you that how that grant catalyzed something further, much further and more valuable than we initially imagined. So our journey is here are some pictures of the recent activities. But when we started this initiative back in 2021, we were inspired by a simple truth that the families who speak Japanese at home needed a structured and supportive community where their children could develop their heritage language proficiency and deepen their cultural identity. So our original grant proposal focused on creating formal curriculum materials for Japanese language art and as well as social studies. However, as we implemented the program, we discovered something important, which is the magic. The magic wasn't just in the curriculum itself, but it was in the lived experience of the learning together as a community. So while our curriculum development has evolved differently than the original planned, that we found a more dynamic way to achieve our core mission, integrating the language learning with the rich cultural experiences. And this year alone, Jazzy Japanese Language Learning Support Group has hosted monthly Japanese cultural events such as setsubun, mochi pounding, violin experiences, game in Japanese, and we had, demon slaying and martial arts experiences, and experienced Japanese culture through the crafts. We had peace events. We also had wear yukata, which is the Japanese summer kimono, and enjoy the Japanese bon odori, which is the summer dance festival. We also had moon viewing, and we also had a quiz making or quiz bowl. Just a few days ago, the children learning Japanese as a heritage language in Indiana virtually connected and interacted across the different time zones, including Louisiana, Florida, Indiana, and Senegal, Germany. And children quizzed each other to introduce different cultures and food in their communities in Japanese. In January, we are planning to play karuta, a Japanese traditional card games with Japanese heritage language learners from all over the world. So, as you can see, we don't work in isolation. Jazzy, a Japanese language learning support group partnership with the Japanese communities in Indianapolis area, as well as all over the world. And we even in partnership with the universities and high school students who are learning Japanese as a heritage language as well as a world language. And we have also participated in the AG5 network, which is the collaborative of the heritage language schools around the world. And then we were able to virtually share our curriculum approaches and receive feedback from the Japanese language educators globally, and then learn the best practices from the heritage language programs internationally. This network connection transformed our understanding of the heritage language learning from the local initiative into part of the worldwide move. So these are some of the highlights of how the Indiana Language Roadmap Grant allowed our group to continue providing the lived experience of the language together and learning together as a community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nieko, for sharing. It is really neat to see how the impact was not just in Indianapolis or Indianapolis families, but throughout the world through virtual connections and just even throughout the state too. So thank you for that. Thanks so much. And Now we're going to move on to Gerald Mackey in Indianapolis, who'll talk about virtual exchanges and their work in Mexico. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. My name is Gerald Mackey, Professor of English and Coordinator of Global Education for Ivy Tech Community College. Next slide, please. I'm excited to share about the ripple effects from the Indiana Language Roadmap Grant to help establish and build a foundation for international virtual exchanges at Ivy Tech. The grant helped to support funding for this book, The Guide to COIL Virtual Exchange, a terrific text from scholar educators providing resources and detailed maps for faculty, administrators, and institutions that are interested in using technology such as Zoom to bring classrooms together across the world for shared global learning. Next slide, please. The grant helped provide a number of copies of the text that were shared throughout the institution and with international partners in virtual exchanges. For many students at community colleges within the U.S., less than 1% traditionally are able to or participate in a study abroad. So we're looking at ways of creating meaningful global learning experiences for students who may be unable to travel. Our first virtual exchange that the grant helped to support was through a partnership with Termez State University in Uzbekistan. Together, we connected freshman students through multiple synchronous sessions via Zoom and researched issues of contemporary challenges, in this case, global energy consumption, looking at how energy was consumed and produced in Uzbekistan as well as here in Indiana, and the students worked together on collaborative projects to share their results and findings. Next slide, please. I was fortunate to be able to work with a fantastic educator in the bottom right, Mubarak Khatbueva, and our students together over multiple weeks worked together and delivered presentations about these issues that their friends and family members and others were able to join, a unique global learning experience for Indiana freshmen to work and to learn collaboratively. Next slide, please. Student responses to the experience, they often wrote about it in personally transformative terms. They described it as an overwhelmingly positive experience and felt a meaningful sense of advocacy and empowerment. They knew that there was something special and unique happening in the classroom that was focused on them and their experiences and their lives that could be celebrated. And the students gained authentic confidence in overcoming logistical challenges of being able to work with partners across the globe and time zones and language barriers and differences to create something that was meaningful and significant. Next slide, please. The ripple effects from the Indiana Language Roadmap grant had continued semester after semester. We expanded our topics to look at things such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 16, focused on peace, justice, and strong institutions as essential for global transformation and change. Next slide, please. Part of the projects that students worked on, looking at my school, your school, career goals, intercultural communication is promoting peace, and global selves, ways in which we already have a multiplicity of identities connected to that are globally connected. Chances to work and practice on a conflict resolution and think about communication for empowering difference and enhancing understanding. Next slide, please. The ripple effects grew and continued for the Indiana Language Roadmap Grant and building that foundation for us for supporting and developing and designing international virtual exchanges. And this time we were working with the Universidad del Desarrollo in Santiago, Chile, working with faculty members in journalism and education, this time looking at United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 5, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. Next slide, please. From there, they continue to expand, in this case, working with faculty in Ukraine and developing partnerships around the theme of joy and connection. Next slide, please. As part of the experience, we were able to work with Prozovsky State Technical University, previously located in Mariupol, Ukraine, before the Russian invasion. As part of the experience, we focused on celebration and joy and positivity, and the war was there, but we tried not to talk about too much directly, but let students be students and talk about things that shared and united them as students and as learners. Next slide, please. Students work together collaboratively on projects, sharing about their lives, about their experiences, their goals, their dreams, and their hopes. Next slide, please. A number of students for those who may be interested, have a wealth of different resources from faculty members and students involved in these virtual exchanges. And to hear not just the benefit for students here in Indiana, but also hearing from students and faculty around the globe about what these experiences meant for them. Next slide, please. The ripple effects continued with the Indiana Language Roadmap Grant and the support, this time with the International Virtual Exchange with Universidad Veracruzana in Mexico, together as part of a 3-classroom virtual exchange, including math, English, and developmental reading and writing. Students researched water crises as they were happening both in Mexico and in the United States. Next slide, please. As a result of the student shared research project, the students were able to have their work showcased during a science summit during the United Nations 80th General Assembly. International Virtual Exchanges provide an opportunity for students to work on contemporary issues and to connect them to different international forums where their work and their research can be heard by others. Next slide, please. Student responses, again, talk about many of our students may have never been out of Indiana before, but to be able to learn from another person, I tell my students textbooks are fantastic, but we tend to learn more from each other as people and as individuals. Thank you for the support, and I hope that the ripple effects continue for this grant. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, organizers and fellow panelists.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a great just a history and ripple effect there, and so many different nations, and how you have worked to especially expose, students from a community college to the world. Really fantastic work. So thank you so much for sharing, and I love the focus on the UN Sustainable Goals too. We're going to move to our last presenter. Thank you so much for everyone for sticking in there with us. And this is Svetlana Raymer, and she'll be sharing from Indianapolis about her work with the Uzbekistan Book Club. So thank you.
Ukrainian Book Club.
Oh, Ukrainian, sorry.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And it's amazing to see so many familiar faces with Gerald and Eli and Anna Maria, and I see Janet in there somewhere. Thank you all so much for joining, both the presenters and those who are listening in on the community showcase. My name is Svetlana Raymer. I'm the president of Ukrainian Society of Indiana. Our organization was launched in March of 2022 in the response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. We rest our activity on 3 pillars. We do a lot of cultural work, a lot of educational work, and civic work and projects, a little bit of humanitarian aid as well that sort of falls under the civic work, as well as we are forging a lot of connections between the state of Indiana and Ukraine, such as sister cities, sister schools, and others. And this project specifically that I will talk to you about today, that was funded by Indiana Language Roadmap, is based sort of in the intersection of the cultural and the educational pillars of our mission. And the sort of the background that I want to share with you and why this type of work is so important is because for a very long time, especially during the time of the former Soviet Union, Russian culture, what was dominated, the narratives and the academic landscape, linguistically, culturally, of the entirety of Eastern Europe. Russian language was imposed upon the peoples of the Soviet Union, as well as Russian culture. And most of the output that was sort of taking place, culturally and academically throughout the globe was really, really focused on Russia. And so, some of the examples even from the session that we've heard today. Our first presenter who talked about interpreter training said that one of the languages that was present was Russian. With the World Languages Festival that one of the presenters talked about in the section on Slavic and Eastern European languages and cultures, the presentation was St. Petersburg, the city of white knights with a dark past. So a lot of the information that's out there that sort of lumps together all of Eastern Europe focuses realistically on information about Russia. And so a lot of that has, there's a tremendous effort to untangle that academically and culturally and socially, especially since 2022, since Russia started the full-scale invasion of Ukraine and is sort of acting in a very malign way towards Ukraine and other European countries. And so what we wanted to do with this grant opportunity is to strengthen and bolster the presence of Ukrainian language, Ukrainian culture, and literature here in the state of Indiana, especially since our state has seen such an increase and an influx of Ukrainians who were fleeing the full-scale invasion and came to the United States under the Uniting for Ukraine program, or known as U4U. So what we submitted our grant for is launching a Ukrainian book club, and specifically purchasing not just books of world-renowned authors in Ukrainian language, for example, but they're books of Ukrainian authors in Ukrainian language. And so if we can go to the next slide, we'll see the source of these. So there is a Ukrainian bookseller in Michigan. So they're somewhat local. It's a family business. It's a Ukrainian woman, Oksana, whom we know really well. And we were able to select books in such a way that this grant gave us the opportunity to purchase 6 titles and 10 copies each. So 60. So the grant funds really allowed us to purchase 60 books. And these 60 books lasted us a year. So the way we set it up, the book club, we would choose a book and we would spend 2 months reading it, and then we would meet and have a discussion about the author, about the books. Let's go to the next slide. These are some of the photos from our book club meetings. The photo on the left is actually from the original run of the book club with one of the books that we purchased with the grant money. But the members of the book club enjoyed it so much, and we actually had individuals, because we only had 10 copies of those original book club sets, and we had additional individuals joining who were just purchasing their own books and joining the discussions. And so we have then decided as a group that we wanted to continue. So after that first year ran out, we selected another set of 6 books with the members of the book club being able to purchase them with their own funds and then meeting again. So the photo that you're seeing on the right is now just a recent book club meeting that we had from books that were purchased by the community members to continue the book club going. We've also had opportunities to meet with the authors. So we had several meetings that took place online on Zoom where we invited the authors of these books to talk about their work, answer our questions that we had about the books, answer questions about the background of the book, the writing process, the creative process that they had. And that was phenomenal to be able to expose people. We have members of our community who grew up in areas of Ukraine where Russian language was forcefully imposed upon people, and they grew up in a Russian-speaking environment. So reading these Ukrainian language books is actually allowing them to practice Ukrainian language. And so let's go to the next slide and have a look. And so with this, especially with the second run of the book club, what we decided to do is to not focus as much on fiction books, but read a lot of nonfiction. And so we've been reading a lot of historical books. The book at the bottom left corner, the yellow and black, actually is a research-based books about the way that the Soviet Union used language as a weapon and tried to eradicate the local languages of both the indigenous people within Russian Federation, but also the countries that were part of the Soviet Union, and impose Russian as the language of the Soviet person. The book in the center is based on declassified materials from Russian KGB, where they showed persecution of Ukrainian intelligentsia during a period that's known as executed Renaissance. So our community is able to learn these lesser known pieces of Ukrainian history themselves. And because our book club meetings often takes place in public places, in coffee shops, in cafes, we've had people hear a foreign language and see a group of 8 to 10 people, all with books, talking very passionately about it. And they come up and they ask. And it's an opportunity for us to educate Hoosiers about how do we, who we are, that we are here, that Ukrainians are here, that our community is vibrant and is doing a lot of things. And this sort of ripple effect. It grows in its ability to share beyond just the book club to people who are interested in learning more. Let's go to the next slide, our final one. And in addition to that, some of the leftover funds that we had from the original grant, we were able to procure some brochures about a very important event in Ukraine's history known as Holodomor, or the artificial famine genocide orchestrated by Stalin's regime that caused the death of close to 7 million Ukrainians. And we shared these materials with the Indiana Historic Society, and we're working with them on potentially developing programming and exhibits to dive a little bit deeper into the history of Ukrainians who are represented here in Indiana. So we're continuing to utilize the momentum of this grant in a variety of ways to really make a claim, stake a claim, and make a statement. We are here. We are important. We are not Russian, and our story is valuable. And our contributions of language and culture that are very distinct from Russian are also very valuable. So thank you for this opportunity. We're very, very grateful.
Thank you so much, Svetlana, for sharing. And you're right. You are valuable, and I love that, just the connection that you've built with among the people, and the sharing of the literature also. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you to everyone who shared. If anyone has any questions, you can post them in the chat and I can try to moderate those. I do see that there's one for Irene, so I don't know if you've seen it, Irene, but Diego had a question about prerequisites for those who would enroll in interpreter training. So I don't know if you have any comments about that.
Yes, so there were two questions. I'm going to answer them at the same time. I'm also going to, because we're tight with time, I'm going to put right now the email address that you can use in case you're interested in learning more about our upcoming class. It's info@thelanguageaccesslab.org in case I'm missing anything. The next class will be in March through April. If you're interested in being added to the waiting list, you can email. The requirements are that you be an adult, and we prefer that you have completed high school. We do check proficiency levels, so that's a requirement of both English and the target language or languages for which you want to be qualified. We either ask for documentation of that proficiency, or we have an ALTA language test that scores 0 to 12, and you have to have a minimum of 8. Your cost, that was the other question. If you're located in Allen County, we have a relationship with St. Joseph Community Health Foundation. You might be eligible for a mini grant, so you can look into that if you are located in Allen County. Otherwise, our cost is $750, which includes 2 books that are 200 and 300 page each, the language proficiency test, the 40-hour, the certificate, and all the materials. I think I did pretty good remembering everything. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for sharing that. And as Elaine mentioned, there are some links in the chat. So if you want to scroll through there, you can see. I do see there's a question for Gerald about the COIL book. I believe that's what we're looking about, the COIL, yeah, the COIL text. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and answer that.
Yes, the Guide to COIL Virtual Exchange, edited by John Rubin and Sarah Guth. I'll go ahead and include a link in the chat. It is a fantastic resource from faculty who are interested to administrators to larger institutions. These educators are very generous in terms of sharing their ideas with others to help empower global learning.
All right, thanks. And I see that there's a post to a 20% discount for the book. So there's a link there in the chat. So make sure you check that out. And thank you to Eli for posting all of the links as people presented. And let's see if there's any other questions, you can continue to post them in all right. So
I
thank
see
you.
there's, a general question about upcoming grant calls. So this academic year, the grants are actually on pause, unfortunately. We hope to bring them back in the next academic year. This year, unfortunately, they are on pause due to some federal grant disruptions and so forth. But we are pursuing the Language Roadmap project as a whole, and we'll be looking to bring back the grants. And everyone here who attended the showcase today, happy to share those when they do come back, happy to share that information out with you so that you can be some of the first to know when those are available again in the future. And one of the ways that we are moving forward with the project is some of this data collection for the state of Indiana. We know that advocacy for world languages and doing these kind of global projects is one of the ways that we can move forward and work with student teams. So we actually have Dr. Ellie Cohen on with us today, who's going to share a little bit more about some of the data collection that we are going to be doing. And also in the chat, if you have a particular way to advocate for world languages or a certain kind of data that you think would be helpful to know more about or have on hand, we're going to have a student team with us next semester to help us tackle some of these questions. So you can share with us in the chat if you've got some ideas of research topics around these sorts of issues that you want to see answered, and we're going to see what we can work on next semester. So feel free to share those kind of requests in the chat, and we'll have a great bank of things that we can look into in the coming year. So I'll let Ellie share a little bit more about working with student teams and how we're doing that work.
Great. Thanks, Eli, for the introduction and for having me. So like Eli said, I'm Ellie Cohen. I work at Indiana University in our Hamilton Luger School of Global and International Studies. And one of the programs that I run is this GDC program, stands for Global Development Consulting. And the program broadly it's a consulting style program where teams of students work on different global and international projects each semester. So we do a really wide range of projects, ranging from monitoring and evaluation to report writing, to data analysis, case study research. And last spring, so the spring of 2025, we had a team of students work on the language roadmap. So we had 7 students, and I'm really sorry that they weren't able to be here today to present their research. They obviously know it much better than I do. But they were charged with 2 things last spring. One was to look at new data about language learning, language use, and other international connections in Indiana. So this was to update the language roadmap report that I think had been written in 2019. And then the second thing that they did was look at some of the data from the language roadmap grants that you are recipients of, and look at where where the funds were going, how they were being used, and what are the lessons learned from that. So a couple of pieces of information that I wanted to highlight from their work is that I found really interesting, is first 200, I don't know how to read this number, 214000. Is that 214,000 workers in Indiana are employed by foreign-owned countries. Oh, perfect. Here it is. And you can see on the left there that breakdown. Also on the right there, you see that the number of exports is relatively high. It was a $56.1 billion value of exports in 2023. And then they also found that between 2023 and 2024, there was exports increased. Selena, if you'll go back a slide, there was also some really interesting things on this slide. So one is that the Department of Education reports serving 93,000 multilingual students. And one thing that the students kind of dug into was this idea of migration, and that we're seeing some out-migration from rural communities, and also an increase in out-migration of kind of domestic population, but an increase of new migrants moving into rural Indiana, largely from Latin America, but also parts of Asia and Haiti. So the students, used this to really highlight the value of language learning and some of the challenges taking place in these rural communities, and the need to increase language learning. I was able to reach out to the student lead on the project and just see if there was anything she wanted to share. So I'm just gonna kind of close out. Well, not to close out. But she wanted to, when I asked her what was important to highlight, she said it was important to highlight the importance of the language roadmap grants for the Certificate of Multilingual Proficiency, which helps students speaking less common languages and face increasingly expensive testing fees. Also, these grants are vital to supporting language learning efforts for all Hoosiers, therefore increasing Indiana's role on the global stage. Finally, the updated graphics are important for illustrating this trend as well. So that's what we did last year. Moving forward, like Eli said, we are going to be taking on a new research project in January, the details of which are still being worked out. So we absolutely welcome any suggestions or burning research questions that you have. But we plan on looking into ways that we can quantify the impact of language learning for career outcomes and salary levels. So we are still figuring out exactly what that's going to look like and how we're going to do it. But for now, that is our primary charge for the spring semester. And the students and I are really excited to be able to share those findings with you. And like Eli mentioned, we hope we can use this data to advocate for the importance of language learning in the state and in the country. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that and this kind of importance of the data and being able to widely distribute that. Selena, did you want to say something, or is it back to me now?
Yeah, go for it. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming today. We're gonna close off, and but again, we do have some time if you have extra questions as well. Um, so please don't be shy as we kind of tell you more information here at the end.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Dr. Martha Martin for moderating the event today. Really invaluable. She's been with the Indiana Language Roadmap since the beginning, and just a really valuable memory of our governing board, helps guide what we do here. And just thank you so much for leading us today and taking the time. Thank you so much to the presenters, and of course, a big thank you to all of the attendees today. I'll close out by thanking everyone who's been involved in the language roadmap for this time. And if you would like to connect with us, there's our website and our email address and so forth. Thank you, of course, to Selena and Barry on my team for helping put this all together. Martha, do you have something you'd like to close out?
No, just I was clapping. So thank you again to everyone. It's just so great to see, especially across the state, how we're connected in our missions and our ideas. So love to just continue doing that networking. So thank you.
There's really valuable information here in the chat, so I'll be sure to kind of make sure that's all shared via email to everyone who registered. And then don't forget that this will be posted to the Center for the Study of Global Change's YouTube channel for the full recording, and hopefully that helps continue your projects along. And as you share with your stakeholders and constituents and everyone interested in all the amazing things you do, please keep in touch with us. Know that we care about your projects in an ongoing way and want to be a part of it. So thank you. And thanks again to Ellie for coming in, Dr. Cohen at the end there. And we're just so happy that we have a continuation of this project in some way, and we want to stay connected. So please keep reaching out to us. I'll put the email for the language roadmap specifically in the chat again right now. But yes, we are here, and we are happy to have this community all together.